Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first evening of North Coast Modular Collective Summer Camp for 2019. I'm Bill Van Loo, one of the core organizers of North Coast Modular Collective.
And I'm Joe Bauer, also a core organizer.
Yeah. So we want to welcome you to the first evening of summer camp for this year. This year we are trying this new thing, which is inviting people to be part of summer camp. So in the next little bit, we're going to spend just a couple of minutes describing what North Coast Modular Collective is, and what summer camp is, and how you can participate. While we're doing this, if you have questions or things that you want to chat with about, type your comments in, and one of the other core organizers that's helping us run the stream will get your question to us, and we can give you some feedback.
Yep.
And yeah.
And also, if you're posting on in Instagram or other social media, just use the hashtag NCMC Summer Camp to post anything that you're doing over the next couple days with SDIY or performances.
Yeah. So we thought it would make a lot of sense, because this is a new thing, to spend just a minute or two talking about what North Coast Modular Collective is. So we are both a virtual and a physical community. We're run by 7 core organizers, 2 of which are Joe and myself, and we've got another whole group of people that are part of that. We work primarily in the southeast Michigan area geographically, which is where our name comes from. And we do really 3 things that are kind of at the core of our mission. We design and build instruments, we make music and give performances, and we really work to build the electronic music community through things like meetups, performances, and events like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that we've been working on lately over the last year or so is getting more and more people involved in working together on things. So widening the community even more. So that's part of what we're doing today.
Yeah. So what we have been doing for a couple of years are some public meetups that are physical and in person. Lots of people come and hang out. If you've never been to one and you're in the area, we'd love to have you come to one of our next meetups. Details for that will come out on our social media within the next couple of months after the end of summer camp. And that's a great way to come and meet people. But we also know that not everybody can physically be either at a meetup or at summer camp in person. And so we wanted to do this set of streaming events over the next couple of days as a way to bring more people in. So for us, what North Coast Modular Collective Summer Camp is all about is a chance to bring people in. And what we're doing with that tonight, as well as the next couple of evenings, is doing a bit of chat, some discussion about what we're up to, and then inviting some folks from the local community to come in and perform.
Yep. So each night, starting around 7 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be doing that. The general cadence will be some chatting and discussion, and then some performances. So tonight, it's us talking, and then after us, we have Joo Won Park performing, and Scüter.
Yeah. So we're really excited for those performances this evening. We'll be streaming all of that. And again, if you have questions or comments, things that you want to relate to the performers, or questions that you have for us as folks in the collective, pop those in the comments on whatever streaming platform you're on, and we'll either chat to you or talk directly back to you.
Then on Saturday is the in-person component to summer camp. So if you're in the southeastern Michigan area or can travel there, come on out to Ypsilanti, Michigan, and from 1 to 5 at a place called Tinker Tech, which is a makerspace downtown in Ypsilanti, we'll be building some kits. So we've got one of the flint faders and the Lodi malt. They're great early beginner kinds of kits to make. And if you're interested in that, I think there's maybe 1 slot left to buy. Just search Etsy for NCMC Summer Camp. And snag that last spot. Oh, and we also have the 50 HP wooden cases they're a nice kind of flat pack, build and screw together kinds of case. Great for beginning, or for if you just want to have a little travel case to go around and. Then,
when we talk about designing instruments, those are some of the things that we've designed. So we've designed those modules because they're useful for us and things that we want, but also, like Joe said, as a nice way for people who are interested in getting started with DIY synth stuff, especially for Eurorack. Those are inexpensive and really designed to be easy entry points into getting started with building your own things, whether it's assembling your own case or soldering together your first module. Those are things that we really want to help empower people to do.
All right, and then after that, from 7 to 10 p.m. at Riverside Arts Center in Ypsilanti, we're going to have some performances by Michael Williams out of Austin, Texas. We'll be doing modular set. Murtok from Chicago, Illinois will be doing some mod bat. And Swartzett from Detroit, Michigan. And then after that, the North Coast Modular Collective will have a few of our members doing sort of a relay, so where each one of us will get up and play for a little while, and then another person will come up and perform, and we'll kind of blend and keep going and going and going.
Yeah. So that's going to be a first for us. We're really excited for Saturday's performances. We think we've been able to assemble a really incredible lineup from really all across the country, as well as from right here in our backyard.
Yeah. Another thing that we forgot to mention is the achievement badges.
Yeah. So being part of North Coast Modular Collective Summer Camp doesn't just mean being a passive observer and watching on the streams, although that's awesome. If you're somebody who is already doing synth DIY building, or you are recording jams or posting clips of stuff that you're doing, use the hashtag NCMC Summer Camp, and we can give you a virtual badge. And if you attend one of our events, we'll give you a physical badge in the form of some sweet stickers that we've got as well.
Yep. We've got some for synth DIY, so if you're making something, then tag for that. If you're just playing, performing, making some music, tag for that as well. Or if you're sharing some knowledge or sharing some, mentoring somebody or something like that, that's another badge that we have as well.
Yeah, so that hashtag is NCMC Summer Camp. You can use that on any of the social media that we do, and we should be able to see that. You can also drop a mention to us on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and we'll get back to you on all that stuff. Just looking around, do we have any questions or comments from folks that are watching already? Okay. Awesome. So we're going to pause for a little bit to give Joo Won Park a minute to set up and get ready. And so the next piece that comes up is a performance by Joo Won Park. If you have questions or comments or things that you want to chat about, drop those in there, and we would be happy to engage with you.
부딪게 봐 서툴이 아누구만 부딪게 봐 담배야로 부딪게 봐 서툴이 아누구만 부딪게 봐 담배야로 Hard to fight this, rest and fight this, might just hype this, 12 the sightless into life is spirit guidance as we ride this. Can't you find it? Darkness finds it, just open up and let your soul describe it. Pipes and Pangea, now I gotta be a bit of better me. Don't you see a little out of here? Gotta be a way to see a cloak, no cape, okay. If you're gonna be a muse, make moves, and make moves, take dues. Don't hate you, just break through.
That's
all.
So I guess the first question, Joanne, is have you ever mashed up the amen break? Have
You know,
never touched the amen, never touched.
no, it's just like the holy grail of all these things. So
you're right.
yeah.
Okay. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in tonight throughout the course of streaming this first night of North Coast Modular Collective Summer Camp. We had 2 performances tonight, Joo Won Park as well as Scüter, who just finished. And we thought we'd just take a little bit of time to kind of chat with the artists, and if people that are watching the stream have questions or comments, this would be a great time to ask those things. And we can also tease a little bit about what's coming up tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So Joo Won, first off, thank you so much for playing tonight.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit what you were doing tonight?
Yeah, so I was using 3 different instruments today. First one was the drum machine, called Volca Beats. And then there's this no input mixer, which uses mixer feedback. And the sound of those were processed through the super collider. So most of the sounds you're hearing is kind of a mixture of these 3. And then I like to perform live on those instruments that I think I've been performing with the no input mixer and the super collider for quite a long time.
Okay.
Performing with the drum machine is kind of a new thing to me, and I really like the machines these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the no input mixer, it really felt like when you were playing, like the metaphor that came to mind was kind of like surfing, like things were happening, and every so often you would catch this wave, and like everything would kind of coalesce together, and then it would kind of like fall back apart, and then it would kind of keep coming over and over. Is that an accurate metaphor to kind of describe how playing that instrument works?
I think surfing is actually a really good metaphor, because no input mixer, although I've been playing for a few years, it's something that I do not understand fully. So when the surge comes, it's like I have to ride on it.
You have to jump on it.
I have to jump on it to kind of play with it. So there's this uncontrolled sound that's coming up, at a spontaneously, serendipitously, and I have to kind of ride with that. So and then it's basically me trying to figure out things on stage, but doing that many times, and just ride with the sound. So I think that's a really good description of.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was one moment in particular where it felt the THX deep note sound, where it's all the sort of chaos that coalesces into this one giant chord. There was one of those moments where it was almost like that, except in reverse, where it was almost like it had gotten to some place where the frequencies that were in the mixer were kind of locked together, and then they all sort of started to fall apart in a really interesting way. And it feels like that's one of those things where this instrument is really unique compared to so many others. Is that sort of your experience in playing it as well?
Yes, I think so. It's essentially like a monophonic instrument in a way, but it's got so much, variations in the overtones. It feels like kind of a polyphonic instrument at most of the times.
Right.
But then, it's kind of like almost, for me, it's almost like a focusing and unfocusing of the sound. And when I get this like nice focus, I think that's when we get that, cohesive one sound. But then, it's kind of like you get blurred and unblurred and getting focused, and it's almost like kind of playing with the sonic lenses to going with that. And also for today's performance, a lot of syncness also comes from the sound of the drum machine, so that. There's a kind of a good sync between the sound of a drum machine and the no input mixer. But I don't even know if I should call it no input mixer at this point, because one input is going into the mixer. But then when I just turn off the volume of the sound, drum machine sound that's going into the mixer, then you get that kind of more chaotic sound. But this kind of can hold the sound into sync. So I think that's what you're hearing at that point.
That makes sense, because this the vocal beats really feels like it's served as kind of a foundational element. And your technique with this is something that we talked a little bit about at one of the earlier North Coast events, at one of the meetups back in March, I think. Can you describe just a little bit what your technique is with the Volca beats? Because I think it's really unique and really vital.
Whenever I delve into an instrument, I try to find what the machine can do that's not doable in other machines. Mm-hmm. So for me, Volca has this step jump functions and all these things that you can actually kind of jump around the steps and then make kind of a interesting beats. So instead of groups of 16 notes or like 8 notes, you can make groups of 7 notes or jump into the step 3, combine the step 3 and 7. That's quite feasible, and because this is a small instrument, I can do that with one hand. So so combining those features with just taking advantage of playing a small instrument, I think I found a way to kind of almost like playing a video game with the controller. It's like you can do so much with the thumbs and the 2 fingers, and I think those synergy kind of makes this instrument very intriguing to me.
Well, and it's really clear that you're incredibly facile with it, that you really have the commands really well memorized, like you were saying, like playing a video game where you don't have to think about what button is one or which thumb or which finger.
Exactly.
You got questions or comments from the audience?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Wants to know what was going on with the computer.
Okay.
What was going on with the computer?
Sure.
That's a great question.
So the sound of the Volca and the no input mixer was processed through this program called SuperQuieter. I can actually make a font a little bigger. So SuperQuieter is a text-based audio processor, and this is where I can program certain effects. So the if you heard anything that was in kind of in stereo, that was the sound processed from the instruments. So SuperQuieter was there to basically as a kind of effect box, and where I could actually just go a little further with the sound. So
so was it acting primarily as a spatializer to spread things across the stereo field, or was it doing other processing as well?
There was quite a bit of processing. Sometimes it triggered the certain sounds, and sometimes it was doing some kind of a pitch variation. But it mainly acted as a kind of a looper.
Oh, okay.
And the stereo field in kind of manipulation. And also it sometimes triggered a little blips and bloops when it's coming, but it's more of a more to like loop and phrase and put the sounds into stereo field. Yes.
Gotcha. Were there other questions from folks watching the stream? Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for playing tonight. Pleasure. It was really a pleasure. And what have you got coming up? Have you got anything on the horizon?
There will be. So I also play with an electronic ensemble. I have people, usually tend to talk people like making music together with the electronic instruments. I think we got a grant to do a tour. So now, this was the news I got last week. So I'm very excited to actually bring the ensemble to East Coast. So that will be in November. So that's like my big project. Yeah. But then I think there's gonna be some shows in Detroit in September and October.
Awesome.
What's the group called?
No, it's called EMUS. EMEWS.
Okay.
It's Electronic Music Ensemble of Wayne State. Yeah, that's
cool.
And then we play all sorts of fun pieces that could be done as a group, right? And, as an electronic musician, we are so used to play as a solo, but I think there's this interesting area once we start play together as an electronic musician, and I think the ensemble kind of tries to focus on this togetherness of the electronic instruments. So,
is it like the laptop orchestra kind of concept, or is it a little bit broader than that?
Anything we can grab.
Okay.
It could. There are some laptop pieces. There are some pieces that use the synthesizer. I wrote a piece for like a game controller, so you're gonna see like 5 people playing, PlayStation game controllers on stage. Nice. So anything we can grab, I mean, cool. And everybody brings their own different things.
Awesome, that sounds great.
Right. Okay.
Well, keep us in the loop with the shows and things that are coming up.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. And Tim, come on over, man.
Sure.
So first off, thanks again for performing tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, I did.
Awesome.
I did. I felt like I was able to
get to a place where I was like approaching everything like creatively and like improvisationally, and that's where you want to be when it comes to like making the most honest music. So.
Yeah. It feels like you've been playing a kind of a string of shows recently. Is that right?
Well, with the band that I'm in, yes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
With the solo project that I'm trying to push, not as much as I'd like to be doing.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, I do have like, I had a house party recently a couple weeks ago that went really well.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to get the name out there. So.
Okay. Where does the artist name Scüter come from?
It was
I don't know if I actually know that.
It's a good story. It was like my first job that I ever had, and my name is Tim Martin, and it's really simple. It's like not anything weird, but it was like my first job was at a restaurant. I was washing dishes, and there was already a Tim, and there was already a Martin.
Oh.
So they're like, well, there's a Tim here and there's a Martin here, so we're just gonna call him Scüter. Like.
Okay.
And,
okay. So it became out of necessity.
Yeah, it was out of necessity.
Okay. Okay.
Just to be called something. And then I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I never really had a nickname before. And part of me was like, I'm going to take that to the top.
Take it right up. Okay.
I didn't drop it. And like, I think it's like all about being consistent. Like, I've second guessed it so many times, but I think consistency and like confidence is key.
Okay. Can you want to kind of describe the rig that you were using tonight?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. I just made the jump from production into Ableton, and in order to do Ableton effectively, for the longest time I wanted to deconstruct my productions, but I just felt like unsatisfied, like DJing my productions live.
Uh-huh.
And the APC 40 MK2 has really given me the opportunity to deconstruct all my tracks and load them onto each like fader here, so I can have like a bass track and like a drum track, and then like a drum tops without a kick, and then just a kick, and then doing macros is something that I've really like opened up into in Ableton. Is like creating like a low pass filter that goes on one track, and then being able to like control it that way. So I have these all mapped to different like low pass filters.
Gotcha. So do you have like subgroups that are going through, a number of things that are going through that one filter, or is
like,
that?
For example, that's a high pass.
Yeah.
But no, what I need to do next is like actually like put like more effects up here on the master. That's
okay.
Kind of like my game plan.
Yeah.
But as far as like having a lot more control over those like produced tracks, like I was saying, like definitely really excited about that controller. And then everything is ran through the interface right here. So my bass, my vocals, and the MC303 all go through there, which I run as separate input tracks on Ableton that I can like bring in and bring out.
Yeah.
And that's MIDI synced into the same clock as Ableton, so all the loops that I have on here and the arpeggiator especially, which is really important, is like clocked in with like the kick drum. And then I have that actually running through a separate music program because I like those synthesizers better.
Gotcha. I noticed you switched over to Studio One for a second there. Was that something that you were driving from the keyboard controller?
So the keyboard controller specifically is running only Studio One.
Gotcha.
And in the future, I want to have the vocals also running separately through Studio One, just because I love Studio Ones in software like VSTs.
Oh, okay.
And it's what I've been producing in for the past 8 years, and I just know it like the back of my, hand, and it's something I can whip up quick in like a pinch.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I noticed you were talking about the arpeggiators on here. It seemed like you were playing a lot of stuff in live. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything except the drums that I had pre-programmed were being like played in live during the set.
Nice. Okay.
Because it's really fun to play with the cutoff and the resonance on that, and get different like textures.
Yeah. When you had this going, it felt like you really were starting to kind of get to a couple of different sweet spots throughout the. How much of that is completely improvised, and how much of that is you've kind of got a game plan or a map before you're going with
that? I think it's like a little combination of both. Like the end game plan is like some random rave warehouse back in the 80s, and I think this like machine totally takes you there. It's just like I'd love to be there, and playing with arpeggiator just has that feel, like all the old sounds in that machine are just like really valuable to me. As far as like improvisation goes, like I had it's like the chord like just hit buttons and it sounds great, like, and then find a chord from there and like add in like fourths or fifths or like minor tones and like try to give it some like structure. But it was all improvised pretty much.
Nice. So so what's next for you then? I know that your band was in the studio or is still in the studio?
Yeah, we just recorded an album at Plymouth Rock Recording Company. They're super professional. Highly recommend them as an artist, even if I was doing solo stuff. I do a lot of my own production and recording at home, but Plymouth Rock did a great job. Really excited about those guys. The band I'm in is called Liquid Thickness. It's like a funk band, so I play bass in that, but I don't get my electronic kick, like, which is why I'm pushing Scüter, the solo project, to really like expound upon that, like foxhole or rabbit hole, or that is electronic music, you know?
For sure. So like, what's next? What's out on the horizon for you?
So I'm going to Philadelphia this weekend. I'm DJing at Tattooed Mom on South Street. There's an animation festival that a friend of mine is hosting.
Sweet.
And he wants me to just like open up the night and close it out.
Awesome.
So I was just gonna like spin some chill stuff and hopefully people will dance and dig it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks for
It's been
having
a lot
me.
of fun. So this is going to pretty much wrap up the Wednesday night summer camp session. Just to tease a couple of things that are coming up. Tomorrow night, we'll be back on all of the platforms that we were streaming on tonight, starting at 7 again tomorrow night. We'll do another kind of hangout, and we will have performances from Detroit Swartz Et, as well as, help me out, as well as Decibel Etcher tomorrow night as well. Steve Swartzette played a beautiful set at one of the North Coast Modular Collective events back in March. A really gorgeous, like thick ambient piece that he did with his Eurorack system, and he made an accompanying video piece that went with that was just gorgeous. And then Decibel Etcher actually just played the first live performance that he had done with us at an event as well. So look for the hashtag NCMC Summer Camp. And like we said earlier, if you're doing stuff over the next few days and you want to virtually participate in summer camp, in addition to just watching those streams, post what you're doing, whether it's building synths or making music or jams or teaching somebody or just supporting the community at large with hashtag NCMC Summer Camp. Tune in tomorrow night to see those streams, and then we'll be back again Friday with a really special panel discussion with the ModBap crew. Folks from all over that are kind of welding together Eurorack and classic boom bap hip hop stuff. We're going to be really excited to have one of the crew here in person in Ipsy, as well as a couple other folks joining us remotely on Friday night. And then Saturday, we've got a big day coming up. We have our workshop at Tinker Tech in Ypsilanti on Saturday afternoon, where we're building synths and helping folks get started with DIY stuff. And then our conclusion celebration performances at Riverside Art Center in Ypsilanti on Saturday night starting at 7. So this is it for us for tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow night. Hashtag North Coast Modular Collective, hashtag NCMC Summer Camp. Thanks everybody.